Leadership is about behavior, not about position. Yet hidden agendas tend to be about position and power and presence and visibility, and not about execution and culture and engagement and collectively moving people up. This week on The Rutledge Perspective, we're going to talk about the long-term consequences of hidden agendas. And I've talked somewhat about this topic before, but in a different angle. Last year, I did a podcast called Good Intentions, Bad Impact, where we have all of these things that we intend to do, but the impact of those just isn't what we thought it would be. And this is a little bit different than that. Although I'm going to use part of that example to kick us off this week. So if you think historically, every generation has wanted the next generation to do better, whatever that meant, right? I just want my kids to do better. I hope my grandkids have better opportunities. We want people to do better than what we did, to experience a little bit more ease than what we felt, whatever that looks like for us, depending on the generation that we're in. And one of the unintended consequences of that societally, especially in the US, was then a series of decades where blue collar work was seen as less than, where the only way to get ahead or to be considered accomplished was to have a 4-year degree, not even adding on the layers of which college and where and all of those kind of things. But we started to define doing better as 4-year degree plus and white collar, working inside, not having to work with your hands. That started to be the definition of doing better. The unintended consequence of that was the fact that we are now battling, right, a real shortage of folks who can be working in those companies that build the things that we all need, right? A lack of ready resources who have the skills, capability, and desire to be plumbers and mechanics and electricians and air conditioner people and landscape folks and all of these kind of things that, again, for a generation out of good intent, were seen as not as good a job because it was manual labor. It was hard work. And we somehow negated those folks whose hard work was working with their hands, being creative, making a car purr, right? Making a yard look like something out of an oasis, regardless of whether it was the size of the White House lawn or a postage stamp. Real creativity and hard manual labor that yielded incredible results was somehow not seen nearly as valuable for a generation or two. Well, if you think about how that translates into agendas and long-term unintended consequences, it is important to understand what the real agendas were. Now, in the example I just gave you, the real agendas, for the most part, were truly generationally wanting people to not have it as hard, right? They just wanted their kids to have it a little bit easier. So the real agenda was betterment. That was truly an agenda for the most part. I'm spreading peanut butter, societally, general themes here. But now what we're seeing societally is some hidden agendas and some not so hidden. It's just that there's been so much degradation of the ability to discern that these hidden agendas can be hidden in plain sight. When one says, we have some of the best post-secondary education in the world here in the United States, that's true. It's absolutely true. but an unintended consequence of the hidden agenda of ensuring that not everybody has access to that information, right? That historically, the first place you go is information. That's where you first start to take away from people, to hold people down, is to cut off access to information, to education, to learning, to skills attainment. The long-term consequence of that hidden agenda of the maintenance of power by a certain group of people means that a generation from now, there won't be people who have the capability to continue to maintain that power, at least not here in the US. The hidden agenda, though not quite so hidden anymore, in and of itself is creating a long-term consequence to society as a whole by decimating in abilities, capabilities, knowledge, skills, experiences, access, decimating that for large swaths of people who will be the workforce in about a decade. So the agenda itself and the execution of things, right, is really leading to something that is going to be highly detrimental going forward. And that strategy on the part of the folks with hidden agendas is being really well orchestrated, because those whose agendas are legitimate, whose agendas are much more around truly educating and uplifting and being innovative and being creative and ensuring there's access and ability to learn and grow and develop. People who are really trying to do that stuff haven't been paying attention to the folks who had all these hidden agendas when it was impolite to make the agenda known. But now it's very easy. It's very easy to hide your hidden agenda in plain sight and cover it with hypocrisy. If you are leading people, if you're in an organization and you're leading people, or you have your own business and you are leading, remember that people will listen to what you say, but they will believe what you do. And that hypocrisy shows through your behaviors. When you're saying, I want people to be innovative, I want us to be cutting edge, I want us to move fast, and the first thing you do when someone does that and fails is punish them, your hidden agenda was, I only want people to move when I say move, doing what I say with the risk that I deem is appropriate. That's the hidden agenda, because I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to have failure, right? I am answering to shareholders, not stockholders. And the shareholders have a certain expectation. And so whatever I have to do to meet shareholder desires, that's what's going to happen. And all the rest of y'all just have to get on board. That's the real agenda. But it's hidden behind an agenda of, we want the best and brightest, and we want people to be innovative. We want to move fast. We want to fail fast. We want to do really great work. And we know that means taking risk. And we want you to take risk. We want you to give us a head up. We want you to really try some things, because that's how we get better. That's the overt agenda. The hidden agenda is the one that says we are not going to do anything that in any way is going to decrease shareholder value. Because see, if we decrease shareholder value, then my multi-million-dollar CEO pay package is impacted. My reputation is tied, because those hidden agendas are often individual agendas, not collective agendas. It is about ego. It's about position. It's about power. I've talked a lot about how in this area of being your chief navigation officer, as you continue to move up in an organization, it becomes less and less and less about what you know, your tactical knowledge, your tactical expertise, and more about how you navigate those spaces, how you show up in meetings, when you show up in meetings, what you say, to whom you say it, how you say it, if you say it. It's about navigating the nuances the further you go up in an organization. It's about how you stay in integrity while managing through the culture in which you are operating. Navigating those spaces becomes about nuance and political savvy. It becomes about a deep-seated confidence in your competence that allows you to speak truth to power and to do it in such a way that gives the best opportunity for your message to be heard and gives you the capability and the knowledge and the strength and the courage to walk away. Those hidden agendas are the agendas that keep people paralyzed. They're the ones that have people showing up to performance reviews and leaving in total shock because they had no idea. It's those agendas that continue to promote and push up the bullies and the misogynists and the hateful, nasty, ugly, mean, undermining leaders. Because the hidden agenda is that person is loyal to the one who put them there. And loyalty is more important than good work. Loyalty is more important than a cohesive team. Loyalty is more important than doing the right thing. The hidden agenda is about loyalty. The hidden agenda can't happen without loyal yes people around. But the long-term consequence of that hidden agenda is to teach the organization that how you treat people does not matter. What matters is how you treat certain people, how you show up for certain people, how you align with certain people, not positions, but people. Because remember, leadership is about behavior, not about position. Yet hidden agendas tend to be about position and power and presence and visibility, and not about execution and culture and engagement and collectively moving people up. That's not hidden agendas for the most part. But there's hope. I like to stand in possibility. I like to stand in the fact that it's always a good time to do the right thing. It's always a good time to speak truth to power. You just pick the way you're going to do that. It is always possible to be really politically savvy, to open your eyes and pay attention to the organization that you're in, and to act accordingly based on the overarching goal that you have in mind. It is always possible. And it's possible to do so without leaving who you are and what you believe at the door. It is absolutely possible. It is also possible to make the choice to go, that your peace, your integrity, your energy, your time are more valuable than the madness in which you're operating. It is possible to make that choice. It is possible to prioritize your peace and well-being over your paycheck. It is absolutely possible. And just like any agenda, hidden and blatant, whatever choice we make has consequences. And we are not free from the consequences of those choices. But we are also free to reap the benefits of making really good choices, the benefits of leading people well, the benefits of building up and creating and nurturing exceptional leaders for tomorrow. Because those hidden agendas that are happening today are going to be the downfall of organizations that exist today, a generation from now. Because we're creating a generation that is not going to be as capable of leading, or is going to choose not to lead, is not going to put up with the same kind of madness that previous generations did, is not going to be okay or allow the bullying, the misogyny, the supremacy. It's just not going to happen on their watch, right? So they're either going to fix it or they're going to go somewhere else where their skill and their capability and their genius is appreciated, rewarded, and valued. And they're going to make their impressive splash there. And those who are trying to hold on to those old ways, who can't even define the difference between transparency and confidentiality, because what they're really doing is hiding the truth and covering it in things saying confidentiality versus transparency, that's just a perspective. No, a lie is just a lie. Even a little white lie is still a lie, right? Holding things confidential is still being secretive. The only difference between confidentiality and just not being transparent is confidentiality is usually tied to something around compliance or safety, as opposed to power. So as you go in this week and you think about how you lead and where you want to move your organizations forward and the people who are looking to you to lead them, what's your agenda? And what are the long-term consequences long after you've retired for your kids, your grandkids' kids? What are the consequences that are going to be in place for them because of how you are behaving today? Are we going to be that next generation that doesn't have anybody who's able to fix an air conditioner or build a car, plant a flower? Are we going to be that generation that has a no capability of thinking critically, that simply takes information at its surface value and moves, that is not discerning enough to understand the truth and see a lie when we see it and call it out when we see it, to call out hypocrisy, to call out bad behavior? Which are we choosing to be? What leader are you choosing to be? Because it is a choice. So think through your agenda this week. Is it a real agenda or is it a hidden agenda? Is it about the greater good or is it about you? And just own that and act accordingly. And don't be surprised if it's all about you, that's what you get, because we reap what we sow. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rutledge Perspective podcast this week. If this has made some sense to you, and there's so much more to talk about, I'll probably be talking about it on the radio show this week. If this made some sense to you, please pass it on. Give it to somebody who you think might need to be rethinking their agendas. And as always, I appreciate every listen, every download, every share. Continue to do that, please, because that enables me to get the message out louder and broader and hopefully touch those folks who really need a little bit of confirmation and uplift and sometimes a little bit of accountability. Have a great rest of your week and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye. You have been listening to the Rutledge Perspective podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and for connecting. You can find previous episodes of the podcast on my website at laurelrutledge.com/podcast. You can also find me on social media at Laurel K. Rutledge and/or The Rutledge Perspective. And I'd love your perspective on the things we talk about. And if there's a specific topic you want me to cover, just let me know. And please share this podcast with someone in your village who may need this little piece of perspective today. And if you're so inclined, I would really appreciate a 5-star rating and review on the platform of your choice. Apple Podcasts and Spotify reviews are particularly helpful. Thank you again for listening. Take care.